Hey community.
How you doing?
It's One Two.
Comic Talk.
We're back and we've been doing a lot of videos recently. We've been cranking out these videos today as we can publish them throughout the week. So if you see us basically in the same setup on different days, identically, it's because it was all recorded today.
Pretty much. You know, we're going to be trying to do some more throughout the week and we'll see how we do. If you're new to us, please, hit that like, throw a comment down at the end of this, and if you like
hit the bell if you're interested.
Subscribe, we appreciate it.
So you can catch when we upload, when we premiere, all that stuff.
As you saw the other day, those who wish that you have subscribed, we end up receiving a pretty good break. So what we're going to do is
go follow our Instagram here.
And we end up doing some reading. So what we want to do is kind of throw some of the books in which that we've already read as far as a review at you. Alright? So how about we start with...
let's start with Thor. We're going to talk about Thor briefly, especially for the fact that it's extremely hot right now and we kind of want to leave it. We don't want to go into it just because it's popular.
We're not big spoilers as far as when we break down stories. What we'll do is we like to, especially as we'll show you on these other ones, bring you up to speed of where we're at up to these books. The idea is to entice you to to buy the present book and give you a little bit of the history leading up to the books.
So Thor was really trippy. It incorporated a lot of elements that Kate's is used to.
I agree.
Can we talk about the appearance of Surfer?
Well,
I got an ad.
Well, that's true. Let's start over in the sense of, for those of you that may not know any of the Thor lore, this is a great place to jump on. The reason why, not just because it's a #1 or it's a whole reboot and all that. It's more because it doesn't ask the reader to have to know a lot of the history of Thor to jump aboard and start enjoying the story. So that's what I liked.
And for people who actually know... what is Thor a part of? It's a part of some mythology. What mythology?
It's a Viking mythology. It's also
Norse. Okay, so I know a lot of that stuff. So when they're like Niflheim and Hell, and so I'm familiar with these terms because I've played God of War, and it gives you a really good explanation of what each thing is. Like the Bifrost.
There's a lot of lore happening in a certain time period of history that is tied into here that was originally used in the original storytelling that was done. And it does do that. I agree.
Like when I played God of War, you use something called the Bifrost to go to other worlds. And then in Thor, you've even seen in the movies, in the Avengers, they use the Bifrost to get them to the other worlds. It's the same. So among all mythology, it literally means connection to other worlds. And so
for those in the community that may not have any understanding of that, you don't necessarily have to. That's what's cool.
But again, for people that do, it's kind of interesting.
Well, absolutely. It's going to give you something that you
it references that know, right?
Now, to get into the story a little bit. The idea behind the story is that we are further down the line in Thor's age. So it's not necessarily shown as youth, it's shown him way down the road, and it touches on aspects of inevitability, things that he knew that he would have to face. So
we both, I don't think we can talk about it, but...
Not to remain true on what we believe and how we like to do reviews on books, no. But we'll leave that and let's move on.
So, now we got Unsacred over here. I think this, already on the 3rd issue, is pretty key because it's almost a turning point in terms of how the characters act.
Relate to one another, absolutely.
Right, like... This entire time from 1 and 2, you've just kind of been seeing them tease each other, do random stuff, but now we're actually getting somewhere.
There was always euphemisms, there was always double entendres, there was always wordplay, and always...
And honestly, that's what I expected the series to be. I didn't think there was ever going to be, like, a turning point like this. I thought it was always just going to be jokes here and there, and that it was comedy. It was
well, to bring in the community, we know what we're talking about. They're kind of vague. So let's bring them up on issue 1. What's issue 1 focused around?
Actually, you can do this review. I've been talking a lot.
Well, we have two main characters. Female is Angelina and the male is Dominino.
Or Damiano or something.
And he's of a demon. She is angelic, and them two first meet in a supermarket.
And they're kids.
Very young children, and the mothers had bumped into one another, and that was their first meeting. And years later, they end up having a chance meeting at a concert that he was singing vocals to, and he saw her. He's enamored with himself and with her, and that's kind of what the story takes off with on the whole first issue, is him basically trying to get into her pants.
And I don't think I can't. So if you guys think you're interested in like joking, euphemisms, stuff like that, then go for it. This might be
Issue 2 is a bunch of little tidbits thrown in there. They're almost like what you would see in almost like a newsprint, where they're just little bits. They don't necessarily have a whole link up, but there is definitive storyline being told when you start putting it all together. So by the time you hit issue 3, as you noticed and you didn't think it would, it all does tie together and it does make sense, and there is a definitive story that's happening.
Right.
And it's very cute. It's written. It is drawn. It is all done basically by Mirka and Doffel. And it's great work. I believe that she is basically one of these artists that she's only a few covers away, a few people away from recognize who she is and how she is, and she's gonna blow up, man. Her work is out there.
Mercy is coming up in March, and it's been getting a lot of orders.
When we talk about a book, we tend to hammer the people about it, and there's certain books like Canto. There's been certain books, like Pretty Violent, that we are hardcore fans of, and I think this is another one of those books for us. Moving on.
We got Pretty Violent.
Pretty Violent, as I mentioned, this is a book that we started from the beginning. And when I mean the beginning, this was a pre-order for us, and I was showing Kai what this book was, on previews, what this book was about. And then we noticed that they were in Las Vegas doing a signing event that we could not attend, but wanted to. We contacted the shop, and we asked of them if they could end up sending out a couple copies to us, and they kindly obliged. Who are they, Kai?
Maximum Comics.
Maximum Comics has, I believe, 3 stores out there in the Vegas territory.
The Army?
And Army is the individual that was gracious enough to take our order, hook us up, and Army, if you're listening, hey man, thanks for watching, and I hope that shirt that we threw at you is fitting well. And yeah, so they end up throwing some books at us, and then we end up meeting Derek, 2 weeks later.
Right.
Guy's an awesome man, and he spent a good amount of time with us and hooked Kai up with the killer sketch for the show. And yeah, so we've been reading this, and now that we got all the way up to the end of this arc, I believe we can tell the people exactly what this book is about.
So, if you've been paying attention to it, which I've noticed a lot of people are, it's about basically a girl who's born in a villainous family, but she wants to be a hero. So, it's basically the tale of her trying to be a part of the hero society while she tries to escape the natural, ways of her family.
A wannabe superhero born into a supervillain family.
Yeah.
Is basically the whole storyline. And she even seeks the help of her own family to assist her in becoming
a hero. And they do. And
in some regards, yes.
Something I do want to link is we talked to Mr. Hunter. And when we talked to him, I asked a couple questions, one of them including how he thought of the idea to make the comic. And he said of how he was growing up, his brothers and sisters always tried to support him even though they hated him in any way they can, just because they're a part of his family. And you can see that a lot in this issue, because almost the issue, basically the issue right after we talked to him, I think her name's Necrosis. She ends up helping her, and she's like, you were family, I'm a villain, but I'll still help you because I'm your sister. And so it's like, you definitely see that link.
It's elegantly written in the sense that it's very simple and very surface. You can look at it and go, this is funny, this is gory, this is... But if you peel off all that and you get down to some of the nitty gritty, you end up seeing that there's definitely some moral tales in there. It does get to some emotional stuff, and there's things that are addressed in there. And one of the underlining, I think, messages, what I think Kai was saying, is that sometimes there are individuals in our life that we come across that we love, but may not necessarily like.
Right.
It's an awesome book. I mean, it's so all this stuff has all that to offer, and it might be just our view and how we perceive it. But these are some of the books that we enjoy. This is only 3 of the books in which that we end up getting of our 27 book order, and even that was shorted because of the damaged books. We're expecting more to come. So I think that pretty much
sums it up.
For these 3 that we do, look forward to more reviews coming from us.
At 1-2
Comic Talk.
We'll see you guys later.
We out.